Hello YouTube, King Noctis is getting a BT Plus and a rework, and I'm about to let y'all know what's good. In JP, Noctis got a campaign banner alongside Prompto's 90. I'm assuming that this new event, the anniversary whatever, is going to be coming with Noctis. Obviously I can't know because there's no foresight for this, but it's just an assumption. So I'll be talking about Noctis and Prompto as if they are coming on the same banner, but always things can change and I can't see the future yet. Still working on it. Regardless, jokes aside, in this video, before you pull on Noctis, I'll go over them, give you some things to think about before you use your limited resources. If you're not familiar with my channel, I play both JP and Global, and I like to give my perspective to help others think about the game. I want to hear what you're thinking, so go down in the comments, let me know what you're thinking about the characters and the banner, etc. While you're here, consider supporting the channel, like the video, subscribe. You become a member for $1. I always reply to your comments and you get some custom emotes. And check out my weekly stream, the Ranting Hour, playlist in the description. Conspiracy theory time, I think they're going to throw Vanille on this banner. Maybe Vanille as the new LD and then Noctis rerunning with his BT+. And then they could either put Prompto here, maybe they'll push him to Layla, so there'll be double dodge units on the banner. Regardless, let's talk about Noctis real quick. So if you're not familiar with Noctis, he is a ranged damage dealer, except for his EX, annoyingly. He is a turn warper, he jumps in front of enemy turns based on a few things. His LD gives that buff to the entire party, or if he uses a plus version of his skills, which he gets from attacking a broken target with his base skills on the previous turn. And all of these warp turns are free. It's a bit more simple in practice than it is on paper, but the TLDR is a lot of turn manipulation and free turns from Noctis. He's getting some pretty simple adjustments. Skill rework, his skill 1, it now has more brave hits and splash, and his skill 2 has more brave and HP attacks. His EX upgrade gives him his generic buff start. His EX will now recharge even faster. The EX itself has 4 HP attacks now with refund in the middle, and his armor stacks give him even more HP damage up. He also gets an extra use of his additional ability, which means more free turn warping shenanigans. Lastly, with his BT+, the follow-up got buffed. It is now a double HP attack, and the BT+ aura gives brave damage up by 50% and brave damage cap up by 30%. He still ultimately plays the same, but he's better at what he did before. As for Prompto, he is not getting a skill rework, he's only getting level 90. His EX now does AoE brave hits and the HP attacks are 100% AoE, so much better damage there. Special brave and HP plus after using EX also get upgraded. They are both free turns, and both of them also do 2 brave plus HP attacks. The special brave attack has instant break, and the special HP attack now has 50% splash, on top of the defense ignore. But again, more quality of life, which is generally true in C90 era. Since Prompto didn't really get anything besides quality of life and it's a free upgrade, I'm not going to talk about his stuff. My analysis is going to be focused on Noctis. So Noctis has the strengths of turn manipulation. He's very turn efficient as most of his actions are going to be free. One of his biggest problems was that his BT effect didn't do anything for the party, but now it does. He's going to help everyone hit their high brave damage numbers. He is the master offensive turn manipulator. Now he's packing more of a punch with his EX and his follow from his BT effect, really doing more damage. If you're struggling with turn counts, Noctis is the way to go because he cuts down on them significantly while also bringing good damage of his own. That extra additional ability use means you can get even more free turns out of him on demand if you need them. This upgrade is really just a nice damage bump in every way imaginable. Weaknesses, I gotta give Noctis a knock for his lack of Noctis knock. No HP cap up. That's always a pet peeve of mine when units don't have that, because there's always diminishing returns on brave damage. So while Noctis can help you get up there, if you're doing enough HP damage, that's not really necessary. And we're getting so much power in C90 units that is his free turns and his turn. Well, I guess the turn warps could be handy, but the free turns, do they matter as much anymore when turn counts are not super tight for a very long time? If you bring anyone up to date. Also, I have to call out the difficulty, the trickiness in using Noctis. He's definitely not a beginner friendly character. If Rain's Maw is hard for you, then Noctis is certainly not the way to go, because you have to think out your turns in advance, think who you're giving the warp debuff, or excuse me, the warp step buff to, whatever it's called. And when Noctis LD BT came out, I know there were a lot of people who were hyped because he's supposed to be meta, and then either people didn't end up using him or he was too complicated, or there was other more simple options. Like you could Giga Brain with Noctis, or you could just blow things up with Machina. Although to be fair, you could throw Noctis' LD buff onto Machina and to prevent him from delaying himself for some shenanigans. There's stuff like that, but I don't want to overcomplicate Noctis at the same time. But it is a bit more work to get similar results when you could just Unga Bunga, honestly. For team comps, Noctis definitely prefers turn hoggers and turn manipulators, so you can yo-yo his turns. Tidus plus Noctis, Tidus Terra. Locke has warp and turn hogging. You can yo-yo turns with Sid Reigns. If you pair Machina and Noctis together, then Noctis, like I said earlier, can put the LD buff on him so Machina doesn't delay himself too hard. There's lots of degenerate things you can do with Noctis, and he's kind of one of the more technical characters in the game. But if you really want to make his BT effect last, then definitely turn Augurs. Cloud of Darkness, another one, potentially. And I can't really think of any fights he'd necessarily be useful in, but since he's a damage dealer, he's inherently flexible. As for building around Prompto, I guess I gotta mention it, but it's still same old, same old. He's got so much utility in his kit that he also tends to work anywhere. But at the very least, Prompto would be able to help on the Queen Lost chapter, which is an evasion orb, the Edgar intersecting will, which is an defense ignore orb, the Hell Emperor fight, that comes with Layla, which is a dodge orb. So what are my plans? Well, again, I don't know the banner, but if it is just Noctis and Prompto again, I have their full kit, so I'm not doing anything. But would I green Noctis? No. I've never really liked how he played, all the planning in advance. It's a little too much for me, honestly. I'd rather just Unga Bunga. I think he's average at best, and I don't know who I'd pair him with. I'm truly not a fan of effects that don't give HP cap up because I feel like I'm limited. I like seeing high HP damage and stacking those caps. So yeah, not for me, and I already have Promptos, like I said, so not touching this banner. And if Vanille would be on the banner with Noctis, still wouldn't touch it. Vanille's way out of date and she's bad. I did a video on her too. Unless you get some GL exclusive rework Copium, or maybe Lightning will be on here. I don't know. I don't think there's anything that can get me to pull on a Noctis banner, to be honest. I also don't know what the event is going to be. Hopefully it'll be some interesting fight, but let's go right into before you pull. This is from a meta perspective, keeping some things in mind. If you already are decided on a favorite and you know what you want to do, by all means, don't let me stop you. This is for people on the fence where I give my opinion. The low turn Addicts Noctis is going to be your best friend. I'm sure you've already decided. If you're struggling with content, I would advise against Noctis. One, because he's a bit more complex than you'd like, and Lock is around the corner. And if I'm going to keep saying this in my videos, but I'm going to advise people who are struggling with content to get those units that make it harder for you to die and have wide roll coverage. So really, if you're struggling, if you're going to BT plus anyone, I just wait for Lock, honestly. Prompto is Consolation, and I don't think I'd recommend chasing him. Obviously, he can be viable, but that's boring. Viable is not a compliment. But truly, if you are missing evasion units, I'd much rather suggest you go for Cater and Queen, because you have more coverage on the banner, and it's not as steep of an investment cost. If you're not going to green Noctis, additionally, don't go for his LD only. It's going to be ultimately underwhelming. I mean, damage dealers, you got a blue, and if they have a BT, you got a green, or else it's almost always never worth it. So yeah, I think most people would probably be better off skipping this banner for meta purposes. Noctis is fantastic, and he has great things going for him. You can abuse his warps, and he's pretty rewarding gameplay if you plan ahead for people that like that. But if you don't really care, then I think you can live without Noctis or Prompto. I will be enjoying that free Prompto upgrade though. That's all I got. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, memberships, check out the Ranting Hour. I went a bit abbreviated because the C90 stuff isn't that interesting. Let me know what you guys think. I'm still trying to get a feel for how I'm about to talk about C90 units, but that's it. Catch you guys later. Peace.